What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic Career Mode. This is episode number 3 and we're starting today's episode off for a bid for Genepo, our man of the match against Newcastle in the last game, the last episode from Frankfurt. Turned it down though, 23 years old, 74 rated, scored a screamer against the Magpies, so I'm keeping him here. And also, I did decide to accept that second offer for Shane Long from New England Revolution. Obviously it's 40 grand less than the Nottingham Forest deal, but I thought about it last night and I was thinking, dropping down to the Championship or playing in the MLS, what would Shane Long choose to do in real life? I don't actually know. I don't know which bid there is more realistic. Now, Shane Long has not spent any minutes whatsoever playing outside of Britain and Ireland in his professional career, but you often see players in their 30s going to the MLS. I don't believe it's a retirement league like it used to have that reputation back in the day. You see some tremendous young players going there nowadays, but even so, I think that a lot of players in their 30s do often close out their career in the MLS. I could see Shane Long going to New England. Yeah, I could see Shane Long in the MLS. I don't know which he'd prefer though, Nottingham Forest or New England Revolution. So I thought, you know what? I think both seem quite realistic. I'll accept them both. Anyway, first game of today's episode, didn't need to leave the northeast of England on the back of our win on Wednesday night in the Carabao Cup, because we were staying in this exact same city at this exact same ground on the weekend for our Premier League fixture. Yeah, after our victory over the Magpies in the Carabao Cup second round, we now had them away in the Premier League, taking on Eddie Howe's side. And can I just say as well, what a tremendous job Eddie Howe has done with Newcastle United in recent weeks. And, you know, everyone can talk about the takeover and talk about the influx of cash and how that has made his job understandably easier. Look, no one's going to deny that, of course. But I think the way he's got his team playing has been fantastic. You know, they look a totally rejuvenated side, and I really feel that's the key. Really, it's like their energy is so much more infectious. When they were playing under Steve Bruce, you know, they just look so flat and just devoid of any kind of, I'll be honest here, and I think Magpies fans would even admit this themselves, interest in the outcome, you know, and they were staring relegation in the face, and it looked so likely they were going to go down. Eddie Howe took on this challenge. It was a massive, massive challenge. But he's done such a tremendous job, and no one can deny the takeover has held. Bruno Guimaraes, who scored that fabulous back heel in midweek against Southampton, of course, the game winner. It was an amazing goal. You know, Kieran Trippier's been a revelation. I think Matt Targett, who's come in on loan, has been very solid for the Magpies as well. Just in general, you know, Chris Woodcourt scored his first goal so recently too. Just in general, they look such a more energetic team though, and you can talk about the new signings they've made and how much they've helped, and no one is going to deny that. You know, even Magpies fans wouldn't deny that the takeover has helped significantly with their on the pitch form. But I think the key difference has been the energy that Eddie Howe has injected into the team. Under Steve Bruce, the team, and I'll be honest here, the team just did not look like a team at all. They didn't seem fussed about the outcome. Collectively, they were a group of individuals, you know, not a team. But now he's done a tremendous job, Eddie Howe, and I think he deserves the credit. Under so much media scrutiny, the pressure immense coming into a challenge like this, you got to say, top marks so far. The man's done a great job since coming in at St James's Park. Still, we drew the game 0-0, our first clean sheet in the Premier League this season, and I'll take it, to be fair, not a bad result there away in the North East. And then following that on transfer deadline day, after the Shane Long deal did go through, in the end he chose Nottingham Forest, I decided to make a couple of these signings on transfer deadline day, and the first player I decided to bring in was a guy who has been heavily linked to Southampton, having a fantastic season in the Championship with Hull City right now, the Tigers, Keane Lewis Potter. He agreed a 5-year, 14 grand a week deal. I think the fee we agreed was £4 million, and he's a fantastic young talent. He can play on both sides of the wing. He can play through the middle. He's only 20 years old, and he's definitely one to watch for the future as well. He's very quick. He's got great energy, technically very solid on the ball, very comfortable with the ball at his feet as well. If you watch the Championship, you'll know this guy is definitely what you consider to be a rising star in the Football League. He's been linked heavily with Southampton, and like I mentioned, I was only going to sign players that have been heavily linked with Southampton. Keane Lewis Potter was one of them, and another guy that I wanted was Ben Brereton Diaz. Of course, the guy who's becoming a favourite in Chile now, as we know, since switching his national team allegiance, but he'd moved on to Bologna in the game. But another player the Saints have been heavily linked to is this guy right here, formerly of Charlton Athletic, moving on to Glasgow Rangers and playing now at Ibrox. Joel Aribo, the English-born Nigerian international. Really, really good player. I feel like Aribo, you know, I'm not going to lie here, I haven't watched him as much as I'm sure Scottish football fans have, but I've always thought that Aribo, I had seen him play with Charlton before, he's a really energetic type of player. And he's the type of player that he really can do most things. You know, he's very, very versatile indeed. He wanted to take a pay cut. Of course, we didn't allow that because, again, this series is about realism. So I decided to match his current salary on 35 grand a week. And Aribo would arrive alongside Keane Lewis Potter as the two come in for a combined 10 million. But if you look at his stats here, that kind of backs it up. You know, he's very quick. He's very agile. He's got some great technical stats as well. He's 6 foot, a high work rates, and you look at his stats here, going forward there's no doubt about it, that's where he'd be at his best as a more creative option in this team, with the pace, the dribbling he's got as well, but there's no reason why he can't operate a little bit deeper as well. I feel like Aribo's one of those sort of players who, you know, if you ask him to, he'll do whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yes, of course, there's a special area where he operates, where you get the best out of him, but he can do anything if need be. And I think that's really crucial. When you've got a small squad like we have here with Southampton, players that can be moved around and players that can fill in other areas is really good. Joe Aribo, to me, would be most effective playing slightly further forward through the middle of the park or possibly on the flank. But when you look at his stats there, if we had an injury crisis, I think the guy could fit in at left back, you know. So for a combined £10 million, Aribo and Lewis Potter arrive on deadline day to come in alongside Ritsu and Sam Johnston, who was signed earlier in the transfer window, and that would do it for deadline day. So we spent over £30 million on our 4 new signings, but like I mentioned earlier in this episode and throughout the course of the series so far, all 4 targets are Southampton targets. All 4 players have been heavily linked to Southampton in real life, and that is the aim of the game. And I know that, you know, if you're a career mode player of many, many years, you'll know the strategy in career mode that's most effective. Sell your old players, bring in wonder kids, dominate. But that's not what this series is all about. You might wonder why I signed a 28-year-old Sam Johnston as 75 rated. Well, because it's the most realistic option they've got. You might wonder why I signed Joe Aribo in his mid-20s, probably doesn't have much potential, because it's a realistic option, you know. With the money we had to start the series off and the sales of El Unicy and Shane Long and Fraser Forster, like we could have possibly brought in like 1 or 2 wonder kids, you know. I could have Gravenberch through the middle of my park right now, but it wouldn't be realistic, you know. Whereas you look at a team here, Johnston and Ritsu going straight into the first 11. And then, of course, Keane Potter, the young talent in for... Keane Lewis Potter, the young talent in for the Tigers, and Joe Aribo coming in as well. These are all 4 realistic signings. These are all targets Southampton have been linked to in real life. And that, again, and I know I sound like a broken record, keep on reiterating it, but that is the aim of this series. In the first season, what I want are players that you could see in a Southampton shirt in the next 12 to 18 months. And you definitely could with those 4 right there. So, yeah, really happy with the business so far. The team is still 4-star. We haven't got any certified wonder kids with 90 potential. No, we're improving the team at a realistic rate of progression, and I'm liking how it's shaping up after our first transfer window. I'm not sure we'll do much business in January, but for now, I'm liking how the team is looking. Realistically, it's changed a little bit. It's gotten slightly better, I would say, but again, the key is that it's the type of Southampton team you could see in real life as well. Still, for the first game outside of the transfer window, David Moyes' West Ham on the back of our draw against Newcastle away. Johnston made a great save early, and then 41 minutes in, man, oh man, this guy should have like 3 or 4 goals already, man. man. I'm getting the chances with him. I'm just not finishing them. Ritsu denied as we were still tied at 0-0. But on the stroke of the half-time mark, we would find our breakthrough. And it was his first goal in the Southampton shirt. Briefly touched on him earlier. Armando Broja, the young Albanian, in on loan from Chelsea. With those financial sanctions, if Chelsea need to raise a bit of cash next season once their ban from transfers is over, Armando coming to St Mary's on a permanent deal. Look, we all know this kid's got serious potential, man. He's having a great season on loan from the Saints right now. Yeah, I'd love to see it, but he scored his first goal of the season. He made it 1-0 right for the break, and in his stoppage time, what a save by Sam Johnston with the final kick of the game, seeing Johnston bail us out. Brilliant stop by the former Baggy goalkeeper, and we held on for the 1-0 win. Back-to-back clean sheets, our first win in the Premier League. Had to wait 4 attempts to get it, but there it is. Once again, creativity a problem in this game, but Johnston with back-to-back clean sheets, he has been really impressive in his first few games for us. I've got to say, he might not be the most flashiest of goalkeepers, but he's certainly proving worth the transfer fee of just 4 million to begin with. Big save there, man of the match display, 1-0 win over the Hammers, and whilst the tough start does continue, just 1 win in our first 4 games, only 2 goals on the board. I'm liking it, I really am. A very challenging first season, exactly what I was expecting, and a realistic start to the campaign as well. But that will end today's episode of the Realistic Career Mode, guys. Big fan for watching, enjoyed it. If you hadn't, please drop a like. Much love to you all, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of the Realistic Career Mode very soon.